It can be frustrating to start reading in a language that is new to you. You open a book or a text, and there are so many unfamiliar words, grammatical forms, and expressions. I get that because I've been there with two languages. And there is something that I did to help myself to improve my reading skills without being too stressed out about it. And that's what I want to share in this video. It's so simple, I'm just gonna say it. Read something you already read and enjoyed. There are two things that I want to say about it. First of all, I think this is fun. It's fun to read something you already liked. And when you like something, it's easier to keep up. It helps with consistency, and consistency is the key. Second of all, when you already know the story, you know the world, the events that are going to happen, the characters, so you have this whole mental picture of everything. And this can help you with deducing some words from the context. Knowing the context reduces this mental load of trying to understand who is who, what's happening, the magic system if it's a fantasy book, or simply the what the world is like in this book. It eliminates all of that. We have a guest. Floki, come, look at him. So cute. You will still see unfamiliar words and grammar forms. How do you approach those? First of all, do not try to translate every single word. When I read in English or in French, I don't think I ever understand like 100% of words on a given page, or for some words I have a feeling, I guess maybe I'm not able to give a translation or explain it, but I kind of feel what it means. Or maybe that's just my reading skills and me deducing the meaning of words from the context. But that's the point. You do not have to understand everything, the key words, and deducing the rest from the context. Sometimes I find it helpful to spend a little bit more time translating words at the beginning of a book. It helps me to get into it and get a little bit more invested. And that also covers a lot of words that will get repeated afterwards later on in the story. Whenever you do translate, and also if you take notes, do not translate just one word. Take a phrase or maybe a whole sentence, because the context is important. It is also proven that it's easier to memorize new vocabulary when there is some context. Why? Because again, when you have context, you can have this picture in your head of this sentence, and it makes it more visual and it helps you memorize. But also it helps you with grammar, and it actually helps you to know how this phrase is used in a sentence if there is a preposition or something. So always translate and try to memorize at least a phrase, ideally the whole sentence. Back in the day when I was just starting with French, I was obsessed with Harry Potter. At the time, I think I just finished reading it in Russian and watching the movies, and I decided that I would get a French edition of the first book of the series. And that's how I got into reading French. It was a lot of fun to try and read it in French, and especially with all those names that are so funny in the French version of Harry Potter. Loved it. And so I spent a whole summer reading this every single morning. This is what I actually did. So I took it to the next level. I also found an audiobook. First, I would listen to a chapter, and only then I would start to read. And sometimes I would do this simultaneously. This is because sometimes it's hard to pronounce certain things in French, and especially when you're a beginner and you have no idea how to pronounce them. So this is when you can combine audiobook and a physical book to make it easier for you. So I would listen, I would read, and then note some new vocabulary. If I feel adventurous, I can even translate literally like everything, but that's more for the purpose of learning new vocabulary and words, grammar, than improving reading actually. But anyway, I've done a lot of work with that. I don't think I finished that book, but it was not the point. I wasn't trying to like read the whole thing. The point was that I had summer break and I wanted to improve my French. So I was doing something almost, I think, or every day. To sum it up, it is easier to get into reading in a new language that you're learning if you read something you already know and enjoy. It does not have to be originally in that specific language. For example, if there is a book by an English author that you like, find a French edition of it. The main point is get into this, make it at least somewhat fun so it's somewhat easier for you to be consistent at it, because consistency is key. I hope that helps. Write down in the comments what's your favorite book and if you would like to read it in French, if you do intend to start reading in French. Leave the comment below and I'll catch you in my next video.